This video is in response to collasustha1, who responded to one of my videos in video form, in which I criticized the Venus Project. And you say you have a qualm with me saying that government is not here to solve our problems, to which you assert that that's what government is there for. I challenge you to find one place in the Constitution where it says as much. Alright, that's my challenge to you. Prove it. Because I say it's not here to solve our problems. You say that the government's job is to basically make sure that everyone's doing okay, make sure everyone's living in peace, and make sure people get what they need. Where are you getting this from? I never read that. I mean, did you hear that on the television? Did you hear that in school? Because you heard why. I mean, it's really dangerous to assign the government those responsibilities. For example, okay, make sure everyone gets what they need. Who determines what you need? I mean, do you think you should determine what it is you need, or do you think some bureaucrat or some dictator should decide what you need? I had a friend who, in Russia, who blew the whistle on some pretty shady government, practices. I'm not going to go into detail, but they decided that he was schizophrenic, and so they gave him what he needed, and they institutionalized him in the loony bin for a couple of years, because obviously he was crazy for saying that the government was corrupt. I do not think it's safe to let anybody else decide what it is that we need. I think it should be an individual decision. You did make a concession that it is the citizens' responsibility as well. But then you mentioned that we have to contribute, we have to help each other, we have to help governments to help each other, and that we need to cooperate in this life, this crazy, hectic world that we live in. No, we don't. It really should be an individual's decision whether or not they want to contribute, whether or not they want to help each other out, and whether or not they want to cooperate. All right? If it weren't the individual's decision, what we would have would be called slavery, involuntary servitude. It's anti-American according to my standards anyway, and it's fucking wrong. All right? There's no justification for this. You mentioned that a lot of people are scared of the Matrix, as if they think it's going to be real. And I assume that that's in reference to why some people have aversions to the Venus Project. I'm not really scared of it, because of all the technology and stuff. I disagree with the Venus Project because I am against totalitarianism, I'm against absolutism, tyranny, whatever you want to call it. That's what the Venus Project is. I mean, frankly, there's not too much difference between that and Huxley's Brave New World. And I wouldn't even trust it to stay a utopian tyranny. You say that for us to be lazy enough to give up, our labor to a machine is nuts. So that was sort of another concession on your part, that the Venus Project is not such a great idea. I disagree with you again. I think that it would be great for machines to take over our labor. That's progress. What I don't think would be great is if a machine made decisions for us and set our priorities for us. I don't think it would be great if government did that either. Once again, I'm an individualist. I believe that the individual should be, the best judge of what he needs, what he ought to do, etc., etc. You said that, you want the system to fail, but at the same time, it doesn't have to fail, and that you basically made another concession that, we reform everything and get the right people to do the right jobs, people who want to help, and not be greedy. What this is an argument for a benevolent dictator. It pretty much assumes that whatever, the benevolent dictator does is the right thing. as if just by having good thoughts, just by having good intentions, that automatically translates to doing the right thing, which is not the case. For example, I imagine there were a lot of prohibitionists back in the day who wanted to help by pushing for the prohibition of alcohol. And we can debate whether or not they really had good intentions, but let's just pretend they did. All right, it was a colossal failure. It didn't work. Maybe a benevolent dictator would decide that he wants to save you from yourself, make you quit smoking weed. Do you think that should be his call? Do you think that some benevolent dictator should be able to decide, what's good for you and what your priorities in life ought to be? No. You mentioned, though, that it'd be nice for the system to fail, and we could start anew, learn from our mistakes, and that's what history is here for. I'll tell you one thing that we ought to have learned, from history, is that when a system collapses, people are scared, people are hungry, people are confused. I mean, not in all cases, but I mean, quite generally, the more a system collapses, the more of this we get. And that's the exact opposite situation that you want when, I guess, people are going to agree to a new system. That's a very quick way to get a tyranny right off the bat. What we need to do is actually put a little elbow grease into this and fix the system. Pay attention to Congress. Stand up for our rights. Just don't. I mean, especially this myth that the system is going to collapse and that we can start anew. I mean, that's completely wrong. The rules are just going to change. If the system collapses, it's just going to get bought up or usurped by someone else who's probably already in place waiting for it to collapse. And but you mentioned that's exactly why we have history in classrooms, so we can learn from our mistakes, our past mistakes. You were lied to in your history class. You were taught nothing relevant. I'm sorry. You should never trust public education. Frankly, I mean, you should never trust anything. Just figure it out for yourself, but don't expect other people to tell you what you need to know. I mean, the whole reason, don't you think that if that worked, we wouldn't be in such a shithole right now? Just food for thought.